This is Matt Groening, the one and only creator.
Smile, please. Thank you.
And face of The Simpsons.
You had such a punk rock guy as Matt Groening.
He was a offbeat LA Underground guy.
However, as season 1 of The Simpsons started rocking the world,
The Simpsons were a huge hit.
there were 2 other things people were talking about.
The writing was always super funny.
And the animation was particularly a great source of comedy, too.
But Matt Groening wasn't responsible for either of them. That's right, the writing and animation on The Simpsons are one of a kind.
They're just stupid drawings that give you a cheap laugh.
In fact, they're 2 very different stories.
Just a bunch of hilarious stuff, you know, like people getting hurt and stuff like that.
How Klasky Csupo and the animation team created these iconic cartoon characters, well, that's a story for another episode. But it was the simple words on a page where arguably The Simpsons' genius could be found.
Anybody that wrote in The Simpsons writer's room is like a legend in this town.
As The Simpsons ventured into its first season, the writer's room became the engine room of the show.
It helped to have worked with great writers who hated the West Coast sensibility.
An attitude and aptitude.
It's like being on a Super Bowl winning team.
This would be a writer's room like no other.
It was an amazing group of writers.
And this is the story of how the writers of the first 4 seasons and beyond of The Simpsons rewrote the rules of television sitcoms. It seems that everyone involved in The Simpsons Season 1 was surprised by its success.
I'm taking you out for frosty chocolate milkshake.
From the showrunner, Sam Simon,
Sam Simon turned to the season 1 writers and he said, guys, we have 13 and then we're done. 13 episodes and then we're probably going to get canceled.
to the writers,
None of us expected this show to run very long. But in a weird way, I think that helped us write this show.
Well, if the crime is making me laugh, they're all guilty.
We were so certain it was going to be 13 episodes. I think the mindset we all adopted is, well, let's make them 13 episodes that we're really happy with. That wound up being the best way to create a successful show.
and create a successful show they did. And now, it looked like they might have to do it again.
Yummy goes to... Can I read it, Mom? Please, can I? Okay, Bart.
Because, after winning an Emmy for Outstanding Animated Program, it was the icing on the cake for Fox. Their investment had paid off big time.
They must think people will watch anything.
They renewed the series for a staggering 22 episodes.
Whoa!
And they haven't stopped renewing it ever since. But back in 1990, the future of The Simpsons was far from certain.
Come to the one you love best.
Because, as hilarious as The Simpsons was, it was the Fox network itself that some people were laughing at.
The Fox network, which was a punchline at the time, it had ridiculous shows. They had a drama about a teenage werewolf. They had all kinds of failed sitcoms and weird high concept stuff. And then The Simpsons, which is its only, success at the time.
And Fox wanted to show America and advertisers that they were all in on The Simpsons.
Hey, you said you're Homer Simpson?
Yeah.
See you on Thursday.
And they switched the show from Sunday night to Thursday night.
And people thought that was crazy.
Back then, Thursday nights weren't just regular Thursday nights.
8 o'clock on Thursdays. It was the Cosby Show. Fox said, why are we just writing off that time slot? Let's counter-program.
What?
We're going to take on the reigning champs of American family sitcoms.
A gutsy move for the up-and-coming Fox network, and an overwhelming task for the team. All except for Sam Simon, who had nothing to fear.
Sam Simon was a bigger-than-life sort of guy. Everybody in the business knew him. He was a really talented individual.
Simon had honed his art on some of the 1980s most celebrated sitcoms.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name.
I had known Sam Simon back when I was working on Cheers, and Sam was on Cheers as well.
And there was no doubt Sam Simon was the right person for the job.
I'm here with the writers.
So Sam, he was a great writer and really knew how to make people laugh. He really understood comedy almost like a science. He could put his finger on why a scene wasn't working, and with a little adjustment, suddenly it's hilarious.
In 1987, Groening teamed up with award-winning producers James L. Brooks and Sam Simon.
Sam Simon was really important in bridging the gap between the sensibilities of James L. Brooks, who makes heartwarming TV and movies, and Matt Groening, who has this very kind of punk rock sensibility, and then you have Sam Simon as the bridge between the two.
And now, it was his task to gather a team of writers to create a huge pile of new Simpsons scripts.
All right, leeches, I want you to see what a good writer looks like.
And he already had a good start with the writers from season 1.
And Sam Simon basically hired the core comedy writing team that created that distinctive Simpsons voice.
That included Matt Groening's one and only writing pick.
My name is Mimi Pond, and I wrote the premiere episode of The Simpsons.
Ho, ho, ho! Ho, ho, ho!
Mimi was an established writer and a friend of Matt Groening, who shared his love of a sketched world.
I just love visual storytelling. My father was an amateur cartoonist and had me drawing at an early age. And my parents just kept saying, she's gonna be a cartoonist when she grows up. And I'm like, that sounds good. I started publishing comics in a local classified sex ads newspaper called The Spectator.
But then the phone rang.
Sam Simon called me up and asked if I wanted to be on the original staff of what would become the longest running show in TV history. Breaks don't come much bigger than that.
Sam Simon made a lot of calls during his time at The Simpsons, but he didn't reach for the phone book. He reached for something else.
Army Man. America's only magazine, as George built it.
And Army Man was, sight gags and little goofy vignettes.
It was like 8 pages of just white paper stock. It was typed in Xerox. There'd be like 8 short little items a page.
Created by George Meyer, Army Man recruited a crack Navy SEALs division of comedy writers.
George knew all the best writers, and some of them were so good at it, people like Jack Handy.
And now, Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy.
Before Deep Thoughts, there was Jack Handy on Army Man.
Dad always thought laughter was the best medicine, which I guess was why several of us died of tuberculosis.
But some of the people doing it were really, really good.
Army Man's audience was tiny.
It was completely just to send to his friends.
But among its readers were key people,
which included a lot of TV and film people, including Sam Simon.
By pilfering Army Man's staff, it was almost too easy for Sam Simon to find great comedy writers.
It is so simple, you egghead writers would have never thought of it.
And of course, the Army Man commander himself, George Meyer, joined the team.
George had a very jaundiced view of American society.
Did what I say make sense? Well, no, not really, Bill. Boy, now I know how the pilgrims felt.
People are out to rip you off. Everyone is a little bit of a fraud.
Release the hound.
Companies are all out for the bottom line, which all tend to be true, but no one was able to produce such brilliant material in that vein as George was.
It's your fault America has lost its way.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Also from the trenches of Army Man came the man who would go on to write more Simpsons episodes than anybody else, John Swartzwelder.
I love John Swartzwelder. He would go to his favorite diner and he would write all of his scripts in this one particular booth. And then the diner ended up closing, and so he negotiated to get that specific booth installed into his house, which I think is delightful.
A lot of the writers on those early seasons of The Simpsons had a lot in common.
Steve Tompkins, Rich Appel, Dan Graney.
Cut.
David X. Cohen,
We were all in the Simpsons writer's room, and my partner, David Isaacs, at one point said to everybody, "So, where'd you guys all go to college?"
Yes, Harvard, Yale, MIT, Oxford, the Sorbonne, the Louvre.
And it was Harvard, Princeton, Yale. David said, uh-huh. He goes, University of Miami, and I'm doing the same job you guys are.
It felt like, oh my God, all these guys went to college together at Harvard and have been together forever.
Sing Fair Harvard.
Fair Harvard,
We were all on the Harvard Lampoon at the same time. And then we wound up back in the same room at The Simpsons.
Students Mike Reese, Al Jean, and Conan O'Brien did some of their best work at Harvard. And none of it was on their studies.
We kind of found kindred spirits at the Lampoon, and we would sit around watching Brady Bunch reruns.
Hey, you guys. Oh, my no!
Deconstructing them instead of reading the great books of Western literature.
Hi, guys. Great to see ya. Get lost, Poindexter. Yeah, beat it, Professor.
It was arguably the most overqualified writer's room ever assembled.
I remember thinking it was a little pretentious, but they were super smart and they got the comedy.
The payroll read like a who's who of seasoned comedy writers. Minus one mildly seasoned comedy writer.
I didn't get picked up to be on staff. You know, I got a weird vibe the whole time, like I really wasn't wanted.
Yeah, you know, it's good.
They just didn't want to have a girl around.
Despite writing the premiere episode of The Simpsons,
Oh, this is the best gift of all.
Mimi Pond would not be on the writing team from season 2 onwards.
Oh, well.
And The Simpsons continued nonetheless.
The Simpsons was a hit right away. The first reaction to it was huge, but then it just got bigger.
Couldn't get away from the Simpson mania.
Kind of feels like it had a Beatles-esque explosion. Beatlemania, Bartmania.
And like the Beatles, The Simpsons and Bartmania went around the world.
The show was one of the first American sitcoms, I think, to travel as far as it did. You know, huge following in Europe, huge following in Asia. Just an extraordinary cultural phenomenon.
The Simpsons had gone viral. 90s style, that is.
We're talking about the pre-internet age. You know, only a handful of things got talked about, and everyone was talking about The Simpsons.
Simpson, eh? And as season 2 turned into season 3...
If I hear one more thing about The Simpsons, I swear I'm going to scream.
And season 4... It was obvious that Sam Simon had done something very right, assembling an incredibly talented writing team.
In the case of The Simpsons, the room was very, very valuable, but the room only functions as well as the person running it.
And he was the smartest guy in the room, even though he only made it to Stanford.
You're smarter than me.
And he was certainly smart enough to identify the fundamental problem in this newfangled animated family sitcom.
Come in, my captivating one.
When you're doing animation, you have so much freedom that you can go in so many places.
La la.
It's hard to harness all of that into some cohesive type of series.
And it was partly Sam Simon's job to make sure the writer's outlandish animations didn't create an impossible task for the animators.
When you're doing animation, it's just as easy to do a scene at Yankee Stadium with 50,000 people
These seats stink.
as it is to have Homer and Marge at the kitchen table.
Oh, I don't know.
The animators would disagree. But we'll give them their chance to explain soon enough.
Sam managed to find that level of absurdity so that the show was both absurd and grounded, which is very difficult to do.
And so, for the writers of this absurdly grounded, groundbreaking show, they had a cast of characters who gave them plenty to work with.
I'm Bart Simpson. Who the hell are you?
Bart was definitely the most popular character at first.
Oh, cowabunga!
Kids just loved Bart.
Bitchin'!
And they would use all his catchphrases.
Eat my shorts. Pardon?
That was part of why we got hate mail from teachers.
Bart was the character every 10-year-old kid wished they could be.
Don't have a cow, Dad.
But it was Lisa who changed the most.
As the show was sort of evolving, you began to see, in a sense, it beginning to find its legs.
Watch this ugly face.
On the shorts, Lisa used to just kind of be a female Bart.
Check this out.
They were both kind of troublemakers and kind of mean.
I want a giant squid attack a sperm whale and battle to the death.
And one episode in particular showed that Lisa was more than merely Bart's sister.
I'm too sad.
Too sad to play dodgeball?
Moaning Lisa had some very emotional moments.
It's about this relationship between Lisa Simpson and this old jazz legend that she loves, Bleeding Gums Murphy.
My friends call me Bleeding Gums.
Ew.
You really started to feel the influence of Jim Brooks and Sam Simon.
I don't see any tears in her eyes.
It's not that kind of sad.
Jim had a lot to do with making Lisa an important part of the show.
I want you to smile today.
But I don't feel like smiling.
Lisa got the heavy emotional hitters pretty early on because she was the sweet, dorky girl.
That's my girl.
And when you consider the heartfelt nature of some of Brooks's prior work, his influence on the sentimentality of the show is loud and clear.
James L. Brooks, he understood if you were going to spend a half hour a week with a sitcom family, you had to care about them. Lisa has often served that role both from an emotional point of view and also sort of from an intellectual point of view, where she's the conscience of the show.
How can we sleep at night when there's so much suffering in the world?
She grounds us in a reality that allows us to have sympathy for these characters.
I'm the saddest kid in grade number 2.
When it comes to cartoons, you know, you can't have a character like Homer.
Look, I'm the funniest guy in the world.
Without the love of Marge.
My one, my love, my all.
That was beautiful.
To sympathize with him.
It was the show that had something for everyone. Sight gags for the kids. And satire for the adults.
Think you have room in your jail for a 2-time loser?
Well, no, frankly, but that never stopped us before.
In a pre-on-demand age, The Simpsons was appointment viewing only.
It was a show that people gathered together to watch. There aren't a lot of precedents for a TV show to have that degree of global cultural import so quickly out of the gate.
And with international reach came a marketing opportunity that Fox couldn't wait to exploit.
$18 for this? What a ripoff.
At first, there were Simpsons products everywhere that they were flying off the shelf.
An almost unlimited ability to merchandise the Simpsons brand.
It's the Simpsons from Mattel.
Don't have a cow, Homer.
The Simpsons is this, merchandising juggernaut.
Whoa!
You name it, you could find the Simpsons version of that.
With Simpson merchandise selling like crazy and Simpson gin wetting whistles worldwide.
Basically, you slap the Simpsons on anything and you could sell it for whatever you asked.
Money in the bank.
The Simpsons had their own action figures right away. This is a sitcom cartoon show. These are not like action-oriented characters with like a kung fu grip, and yet there's a Homer Simpson action figure. I remember I had it.
With that guy on TV?
The Homer action figure didn't do anything. He just stood there and looked overweight.
And getting fatter than any Homer figurine were the coffers at Fox.
The network is alive and thriving. We're getting more viewers and we're making money on this.
That's the Bart News.
The Simpsons really did, milk every last bit of its first explosive Bartmania phase.
None of the writers got a piece of the merchandising action initially, but the massive success of The Simpsons was about to make their job a lot easier. The Simpsons is the longest-running scripted American TV show.
Cartoons have writers? Sort of.
And every single gag in every single one of those scripts had to fight for its place on screen.
There's a back and forth between group and solo work. The story meeting would be done in a group.
A comedy crucible. The writer's room was the first and most brutal test of an idea that might be turned into television.
Any given story, there's 1,000 decisions to be made. You're literally having like a debate with 13 people.
Debate? Like arguing?
Yes.
I'll take that, you stinkpot!
Not everyone's gonna get what they want.
You write up your proposal.
Proposal?
Outline your project, what you hope to achieve.
After the outline, you would check in with Sam and some of the key producers, and they could make huge changes, they could make small changes, and then you would get 2 weeks to go from outline to draft.
Making sure that draft had everything it needed to make a Simpsons episode was the showrunner's job.
You would hand in the script. Over the weekend, the showrunners would read it.
Look at this!
It's that boy who laughs at everyone. Let's laugh at him.
The showrunner in general knows what they want. They know what they're waiting for, what kind of joke. A joke that either everyone laughs at or a joke that is the perfect character moment.
Throughout the first dynasty of The Simpsons, the man not just running the show but shaping it like an expert sculptor was a sitcom mastermind.
Sam found young people who were basically untested but were genuinely funny, and Sam taught them.
Sam was so infinitely talented at comedy. He trusted himself to clean up our mistakes no matter how big they got. He could sense what you were trying to do, and usually at the end of Sam's rewrite, it was the episode you would have written if you were a better writer.
If I puked in a fountain pen and mailed it to the monkey house, I'd get better scripts.
Once they believe in a story, they always make an episode out of that.
No matter how much rewriting it took.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they would have to rewrite the show.
And then the script, they would do a table read.
Dad, I know I didn't hold up my end of the bargain, but can I go to Camp Krusty?
Yeah, sure. I didn't want you hanging around all summer anyway.
Then they could see the story's working, so the jokes are playing.
And then you would have the rest of Thursday and Friday to rewrite for the record on Monday.
I no longer fear hell because I've been to Camp Krusty.
Kids' letters from camp.
The room was full of promising young writers who hadn't been hired just because they were promising.
One reason that Sam Simon hired all of these young, untested writers is because Simpsons paid nothing.
Nothing being?
They were paying Saturday morning cartoon prices, which were basically nothing.
Which at least meant that if they weren't doing it for the money, they were doing it for the right reasons.
I've got my jacket, our first season jacket.
The big perk for us was getting those jackets.
They were really high quality.
And they weren't turning up for the plush working environment.
The writer's room was a crappy old dorm room with torn up furniture and garbage and stuff all over the place.
The Simpsons writers probably worked in worse offices than anybody on the Fox lot.
It just looked like a crummy motel. There was a fountain in the courtyard.
The fountain was always struggling to keep the fish alive. To try to help, they completely changed the water in the fountain. So what happened instead was all the fish died and they floated to the top. And then the studio cats pulled the fish out of the fountain and ate them and left their half-eaten bodies outside our office doors.
As the Simpsons writers tiptoed over dead fish in their jackets,
they're really warm.
Their boss, Sam Simon, reeled in something considerably more substantial.
Sam put together a very good deal where he got a certain percentage of the merchandising.
Benefits, perks, a green cookie on St. Patrick's Day.
Benefiting from a contract renegotiation that fell after The Simpsons had exploded, Sam Simon inked a deal that meant he would never be searching for change behind the couch.
Hey, there's some quarters in here.
One time he came into the rewrite room, and he's just in a great mood. Somebody said, "What are you so happy about?" He goes, "Well, I was moving a chest of drawers this morning, and this check dropped down that I forgot about." They go, "Oh, God, that's great. Was it, good check?" He said, "Well, it was $9 million.
But if Sam Simon was happy with his remuneration, he was not always happy at work, especially when dealing with this man.
My name is Richie Sakai.
Sakai was James L. Brooks' right-hand man. And at Gracie Films, a lion tamer, not shy of cracking the whip.
He's kind of the taskmaster. You're behind, you're over budget. Someone has to have those difficult conversations, and that falls on Richard.
And those conversations were often with Sam, and the resulting tension between the two manifested in the creation of one Waylon Smithers.
Oh. Sam Simon is credited for creating Smithers,
along with his master, Mr. Burns, with a carefully hidden agenda.
Smithers, step over this table for me. Yes, sir.
I heard that Smithers was sort of a exaggerated version of the relationship that Richard Sakai had with James L. Brooks.
What's the meaning of this slacking off?
There's a bee in my eye, sir.
And?
But whatever beef Sam Simon had with Richard Sakai paled in comparison to the rift growing between him and Matt Groening.
Sam and Matt were like oil and water. They just could not come together.
And admittedly, Simon,
he was a monster.
was hard to get along with.
He just pissed Matt off right from the get-go. Sam was a wonderful cartoon artist, and he'd draw the characters in different ways and stuff, whereas Matt Groening can't draw to save his life.
And while Matt Groening may have felt threatened by this comedic savant, Sam Simon already felt like the one getting cast out of the spotlight.
Sam was actually incredibly sensitive, and he knew he had done something great, and he noticed that the press wasn't mentioning him a lot.
Matt got all the credit. Nobody mentioned Sam Simon. It made Sam furious.
And much like the Sakai-Smithers connection, another rumor started to flare up.
There's a rumor that the Fleming Mose episode is Sam Simon telling the audience about his experience on The Simpsons,
in which Homer creates an irresistible new cocktail.
What do you call it? It's called a flaming Mo.
That Mo the bartender takes credit for.
That rotten Mo is getting rich off a recipe I gave him.
He is Homer in that situation.
And Mo is, well, that's anyone's guess.
If there was any justice, my face would be on a bunch of crappy merchandise.
So, who did deserve credit for television's most successful cocktail?
Jim Brooks and Sam Simon invented the form of The Simpsons, because Matt didn't know anything about television. It says created by Matt, and it says developed by Sam and Jim. The developed by is critical. The developed by is the form of the show. Matt's humor was there, Matt's sensibilities were there, but they put it together.
Whatever tensions were going on, it just made the product better.
By the time The Simpsons was renewed for a third season, it was a juggernaut and a gold mine. That meant there would be big winners in the coming seasons and even bigger losers. Before there was even time to renegotiate contracts, Fox's riskiest show had entered the ratings stratosphere. And even though they weren't quite yet the most popular American family on television, The Simpsons were moving beyond the Huxtables and entering the zeitgeist. And for the producers at Fox, this meant something even more precious than monster ratings.
It takes a certain amount of clout, and once a show becomes valuable to the network, then you have that clout.
Now, boys, the network has a problem with some of your lyrics. Would you mind changing them for the show?
Forget you, clown.
That clout meant the ability to look at network notes and ignore them.
It was decided you're messing us up too much, and they invoked the Jim Brooks rule and said we don't want network notes.
The Jim Brooks rule was like a force field, protecting the show from network meddling. Brooks even had it written into his contract.
We pretty much did whatever we wanted to do. We didn't have any network notes. We never even thought about the network.
A big reason why so many guys still work at The Simpsons because the writers don't get network notes. And Jim never gave in on it. There was never any input from the Fox executives.
Unmatched creative freedom made The Simpsons a dream gig for any writer. And as season 2 turned to 3, turned to 4, they needed many writers.
What we need around here is some fresh blood.
Would you like me to drain Simpson while he's passed out, sir?
So writers kept getting calls.
I was working at Letterman, and I got a call that The Simpsons was interested in interviewing me. Letterman was my life. We worked around the clock. We actually did stop on Thursday nights. We would stop and watch The Simpsons as a staff. So we were all fans.
However, unlike Donick, who came from late night, Conan O'Brien was an SNL writer by way of Harvard, and he was doing things the other way around.
Conan O'Brien!
As he blazed across the show on his way to the top.
Well, sir, where should we dump this?
Conan O'Brien started off on The Simpsons.
Conan O'Brien, I think, was one of the central forces in that writer's room.
When he was on the show, he did write some of the most iconic episodes, including Marge versus the Monorail.
There's nothing on Earth like a genuine, bona fide, electrified 6-car monorail.
And the Conan O'Brien episodes are some of the ones that really nail that golden age tone.
This is the most blatant case of fraudulent advertising since my suit against the film The Never-Ending Story.
He had a positive outlook that was very beneficial. He also kept it light. He was a fun guy to be around. He certainly was the most entertaining person in the room.
Great material.
There was a unique melding of people like George Meyer, Swartzwelder, and Vitti, who all had extremely strong comic sensibilities that complemented each other.
However, for some writers, it's not their phone ringing. It's them hustling for a chance.
Freelancers can never do that great a job on The Simpsons just because it's such a difficult show to write.
As Bill Oakley and his writing partner Josh Weinstein found out,
we wanted to be TV writers, and we moved to LA. Then we were unemployed, really seriously unemployed, like for a long time.
This is the dullest moment I've ever experienced.
but then a new sitcom came along that Bill and Josh knew nothing about, which was perfect because the show was about nothing.
It's unbelievable.
When Seinfeld was invented, it was called the Seinfeld Chronicles for the first 4 episodes. We had a really good idea for a script. We wrote it. It took off. Amazingly, it got us an agent immediately, who got us a whole bunch of meetings immediately at all the big shows of the time. And the guys at The Simpsons read it, but they thought the script was good. And I think they knew us. They had encountered us previously, maybe from the Harvard Lampoon, and they offered us a freelance episode.
I finished my resume.
Which meant their first script was like an audition.
They assigned us a story, which was Marge Gets a Job.
I think it needs a little padding.
And if Marge could get a job, surely Bill and Josh could.
Chauffeur, seamstress, curator of large mammals.
The Marge episodes were always assigned to the new guys.
If they could just clear a hurdle about the size of a tall beehive hairdo.
Marge is hard to write for because you don't know where the comedy's coming from. At the time, she has the least clearly defined point of view.
My life is pretty boring.
She was kind of provincial and she was kind of uptight.
Care to join me in a belt of scotch?
It's 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, but I haven't slept in days.
Bill and Josh had their episode accepted. That is to say, rewritten.
And they rewrote it pretty heavily, but it's a funny episode.
Homer, I want you to show this woman the time of her life.
Gotcha. Marge, we're getting some drive-through, then we're doing it twice.
And just like that, Bill Oakley had a seat at the table. Or wherever he was sitting. Possibly the couch. Speaking of couches,
sometimes we'd have a mini room. We'd say, you 3 go off and come up with all the couch gags for this season.
An entire season of running gags could be written by one team. Because running gags were part of the furniture of The Simpsons.
The couch gags have always blown my mind.
Over the years, this has been a way for the writers to write a quick visual joke. Maybe we see the Simpsons as skeletons. Maybe we see them as piñatas. We see them in all of these different ways. It's just a way to sort of inject a little bit more of creativity into the opening of the show.
I don't get it. They should be here by now.
What are you gonna do?
But then in the later seasons, it's been a really great way of getting guests to come in and guest direct.
Oh my God, Morty, what did you do? You killed the Simpsons, Morty!
No! Now one of television's most recognizable set pieces, the couch gag is not even the first gag in a Simpsons episode.
One of the best parts about it being time to watch The Simpsons is sitting down in time to catch the opening credits. But the chalkboard gags are always so funny, and you wished you could pause it. Now that's a thing, but at the time you just wanted to make sure that you got the joke. What other show had a joke so early into the show?
It was as though the writers had so much material, they had to cram jokes into the show. But who was responsible for this durable gem?
Sam Simon, he liked creating regular but replaceable gags.
Phone call for Al. Alcoholic. Is there an alcoholic here?
One thing that did not seem replaceable was Sam Simon himself. But the man who had designed so much of The Simpsons' comedy architecture was ready for a change. Writing for primetime, but also animation, The Simpsons writers needed a certain kind of lens on the world.
I think to be a cartoonist, you have to have a kind of like a cartoon eye.
The show needed writers with the vision to balance its 2 conflicting identities. The often absurd cartoon.
So I said I must get out of these wet clothes and into a dry martini.
Well said.
Oh, you puppets again. Thank you.
With a relatable family sitcom.
It really is a sitcom. It's written that way. It's acted that way. That's how we made it. But then they're yellow.
It doesn't always have to be super cartoony, but it also doesn't have to be super grounded. It can be a balance of both.
This is 1,000 monkeys working at 1,000 typewriters. Soon, they'll have written the greatest novel known to man.
The ability to be both had become the secret of The Simpsons' success.
The fact of that tension actually is part of what makes it work at its best.
But tension behind the scenes was a threat to that power.
You hope that you can keep that lightning sort of in the bottle that it's in and not ruin it, not taint it.
After 37 episodes, the wizards of the show were ready to try a different formula.
It was a very easy transition.
Showrunners Matt Groening, James L. Brooks, and Sam Simon made way for two Harvard veterans. Now the writers really were in charge.
Hell with cartoons. When Al Jean and Mike Reese stepped up, the train kept on a-rolling.
Any of you guys know which freight goes to Springfield?
As the Simpsons train gathered momentum, it still carried few female passengers.
We have quite a few women senators, you know.
Only two, I checked.
You're a sharp one.
Mike Reese and Al Jean, who also worked at the National Lampoon when I was there, I know they didn't like me.
The woman whose key episode had launched The Simpsons as a half-hour show was ultimately reduced to a footnote.
In the LA Times, Al Jean had to make the point of saying, like, well, we rewrote most of that episode. I'm like, yeah, every TV episode gets rewritten. It's a collaborative thing. I don't recall it being dramatically changed in any way. They just added a lot of jokes, which is what you do in a rewrite meeting. Here I am, an independent female cartoonist, just getting by with my husband and my two kids, and he's still gotta, get that dig in. Come on, man.
Mimi wanted acknowledgement, if nothing else, but plenty of other creators wanted a lot more than that, and some were prepared to fight.
With success, lawsuits seemed to naturally follow, and there were any number of them involving The Simpsons. It's just normal.
Can you imagine a world without lawyers?
Oh. It seemed the more money The Simpsons raked in, the more original creators emerged from the woodwork.
Jerry Belson was a writer on The Tracy Ullman Show, and he and Jim Brooks got into some financial dispute which severed their longtime relationship.
And let's not forget about the woman whose own TV show bore The Simpsons like a surrogate mother.
Tracy Ullman was also litigious. She felt, well, The Simpsons came from her show, so she deserved a certain ownership stake in the franchise.
Failure is an orphan, and because success has many parents, Fox was braced for the custody battles.
I know the merchandising must be making money, but I never got a check from it. And I said, wait a minute, I created the Tracy Ullman Show. I brought Matt aboard the Tracy Ullman Show. Tracy Ullman Show was on the air, and Sam's is a spinoff. They wouldn't even talk to me about me getting anything from The Simpsons. I went to the studio, I went to Jim, I went to Richard. This is just how it is. You don't get any of the merchandising. And I went to a lawyer who said, of course, it's a spinoff of your show. You're entitled to part of the merchandising. So we filed a lawsuit.
Lawsuit? Oh, come on.
Much to the annoyance of Fox and some of Ken's oldest and dearest friends.
Jim Brooks hated me, who was my mentor and somebody I felt very close to. Fox hated me. Everybody cut me off.
So was it all worth it?
They said, we'll give you $600,000 to go away, to be friends again. You'll drop the lawsuit, we'll own both shows, and you'll have the $600,000. So I said, yes, I'll take the $600,000.
Which was small change on Planet Simpsons, an even smaller change than Ken could have imagined.
Always ask them what the net money is, what you'll end up with after they take things out that they're going to invent. They took out so many things that they invented out of that $600,000. I ended up with $200,000 for my share of The Simpsons.
But one of the biggest stakeholders of all was about to test his muscle, and this was going to cost a lot more than $200 grand.
I believe that there was an effort to get rid of Sam, to make life easier for everybody.
I knew that there was some friction between Matt Groening and Sam Simon.
The man who had invented The Simpsons and the man who had turned them into TV stars were falling out.
I had heard that the relationship became very tense.
It would mark the beginning of the end for the first dynasty of The Simpsons.
Sam Simon, he once said something to the effect that no matter what the show was, when he started on it, by the end, he was the show's monster. He was the person everybody said, oh, Sam, we don't want to talk to Sam, we don't want to deal with Sam.
And now the monster was going to attack in a very Simpsons way. With 4 seasons under its belt,
yes!
The Simpsons had emerged as a unicorn show in American television.
Oh, look at me. I'm making people happy. I'm the magical man from Happy Land.
But behind the scenes, not everyone wanted to ride the unicorn into season 5.
I knew Sam Simon was unhappy and disillusioned.
Even for a man widely acknowledged as a legend in his field, lack of recognition had been a constant thorn in Sam Simon's side.
Can I help you, sir? I need to talk to Mo. Your name's not on the list. I didn't even tell you my name.
I remember walking onto the lot with Sam one day, and we got to the guards gate, and Sam goes, I don't have my ID. The guard says, well, I can't let you in. He says, well, I'm Sam Simon. He says, means nothing to me. Either you have an ID or you don't. He says, I built this studio. Are you kidding me?
How about a beer?
I'd rather have a flaming Homer.
A what?
Regardless of who deserved the credit, the power ultimately resided in the Simpsons creator.
Matt was the Simpsons.
And just as he could create, Matt Groening could destroy.
Sam and Matt, both very talented people, very strong-willed people.
Something would have to give, and soon enough, Sam Simon was gone. But this time, his revenge would take a less abstract form and burn more intensely than any flaming Moe.
Sam Simon felt that he deserved, due to his contract, a certain percentage of the merchandise.
And as his negotiated severance, that's exactly what he got, which meant that for all the credit he never received, there was soon plenty of credit in his bank account.
He told me, I don't know if this is true, he told me he was making $10 million a year after he left the show.
He complained that he didn't get enough credit at the time and that he was underpaid, but boy, he made out all right for himself in the end. I think he made like $10 million a year.
And because
people are still buying Simpsons lunchboxes, Sam had about $200 to $300 million.
Few would question that Sam Simon deserved to get rich off his creation.
Sam was instrumental in developing everything that became popular about The Simpsons, the whole universe of Springfield. Much of the stuff that everybody loves about The Simpsons came from Sam's input.
One way or another, Sam Simon got the last laugh.
It was a fantastic experience writing for Sam Simon.
There's no question that was a Hall of Fame writer's room. The density of humor that was being sort of packed into it by all these great comedy writers who were really, really playing off each other.
Making arguably Sam Simon's greatest creation, this room full of lovable slouches.
He'd put together this team that was really just starting to figure out how to work together and do so really well.
So with the best writers in the world, the future of The Simpsons was assured.
Most of those guys left, immediately making Conan the most senior person on the show, followed by us. And we'd only been there for about 8 months, and now we were the second most senior people on the show.
Conan soon ascended to his late-night TV throne.
It's Late Night with Conan O'Brien.
Leaving the most lucrative property in network television in the hands of two anxious comedy writers and a showrunner brand new to The Simpsons, David Merkin.
We didn't want to be the guys to usher it into the grave, because how much longer can any sitcom ever last?
But Sam Simon's departure at the end of season 4 and the subsequent procession of showrunners is only part of the story, because it would seem the conflict and infighting infiltrated every aspect of production on The Simpsons. And as we'll find out, the story of the animators and Gabor Chupo's Hollywood dream is one that draws a line in the sand.